Hey, Eran, great to have you on the show. Eran is the founder of Gymdesk, which provides gym management software completely bootstrapped and sold for a majority of 30 million, which is very, very impressive. From the little that I talked to Eran, he blew my mind regarding SEO and anything else I asked. He seems to be an expert in anything that I talked to him about. So I'm really enthused to have you on the show, Eran. How about if you give your own intro?
So, first of all, Daniel, thank you so much for having me. As you mentioned, I'm the founder of Gymdesk. Started the company in 2016. Ran it completely bootstrapped after previously running unsuccessfully a VC funded company. And most recently sold a majority stake to private equity for an 8-figure exit. So excited to be on the show and looking forward to speaking with you.
Cool. So maybe we can start with Gymdesk. Take us on your journey.
Yeah, for sure. So I just alluded to it, but before starting Gymdesk, I co-founded a startup. It was a marketplace for commercial open source, and me and my co-founder we raised VC capital. Um, Thought that finally we've made it because for startups it seems like the most important metric is raising capital. But we ended up shutting down the company 2 years later after running out of money and not hitting the metrics required for another raise. And it gave me a whole new perspective on what I wanted to accomplish with future companies. Um, After some soul searching, I took a look at a bunch of different directions, but I ended up trying to combine a hobby of mine, which was training in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. At the time I was training for 9 years. Now it's closer to 16. Um, and I decided to build business management software for martial arts schools. That's where I started. Gymdesk back then was called Martial Arts on Rails, 100% focused on martial arts schools. I felt as a customer, I had a good starting point to understand the use cases that the gym deals with on a regular basis, somewhat naively probably, but it did provide a starting point. Launched it in 2016, and tried everything I could to get customers to try it out. Um, Failed miserably. It took me about half a year to realize that basically I have no idea what I'm doing in that aspect. In previous stops, I was always the technical person. So I would be the CTO, uh, not the CEO or the CMO or any of those positions. And while I had confidence that I could bring out a product into the market, I did not know what I was doing with regards to marketing and sales. So I went and um, got first contract work as a developer. It's not that difficult if you have decent experience. But from there, I continued to moving to a full time position. I was the CTO of an e-commerce company in LA for 3.5 years until we got to the point where I could sustain myself running Gymdesk. Moved to full time somewhere in the middle of 2019, and from there we started the real growth trajectory of the company, which ended up reaching 7 figures in ARR in 2024, and eventually selling a majority stake of the company.
That's really impressive. So basically, at the beginning, it was you and another co-founder, and you kind of put on the CEO hat.
No, no,
Um,
no. That's the previous company, a VC-backed company that I had a co-founder in. After it winded down, we kind of went our separate ways. He actually became a VC partner himself. He's now the founder of one of the biggest crypto VC in Israel. Um, Meanwhile, I continued on the path of starting companies, this time solo. So I'm a solo founder at Gymdesk, and I also wanted to do it bootstrap after seeing what happens once you get into the VC timeline of growth.
wow. So being a solopreneur is even more impressive. So, I already thought you had enough badges, but you get
I
an
mean,
impressive badge.
that's definitely one way to look at it. I think from my perspective, once you do things solo, you can really, first of all, um, there's no transfer of responsibility. And let me explain what I mean by that. When there's co-founders, two or three, there's usually very clear definitions of who is responsible for what, right? And if one of those responsibilities is not working well, there's limited ability to influence it as somebody who is not in that realm, right? If you're the CTO and the marketing is not going well, you just have to give pep talks to the person who is supposed to do it, right? But as a solo founder, the buck stops with you on all aspects. So um, there's nobody to shift the blame to. It's just you, and you just got to do it. The other aspect is, as a solo founder, you need less resources to run a company, right? Instead of providing for two people, you just need to provide for one. And the metrics for success are also lower. A good outcome when you have 100% of the equity um, needs to be less than if you had 50. And if you raise VC, then it becomes even less than that. Which is why, when we sold the company for 8 figures, for a VC backed company, that's not a good outcome. But for somebody that has almost all of the equity, that's an amazing outcome. So there's pros and cons to doing things this and that way.
They always say, or I think also that it's always great to be as lean as possible, especially before product market fit.
Yep.
And being a solo founder is being super lean, not standard lean, even more lean. So respect. So you talked about difficulty getting your initial customers, and I think also validation. Maybe you built the wrong thing at the beginning. Maybe that was a bit of feel. So let's talk about those first steps. How did you realize it was going in the wrong direction? What steps did you take to start going in the right direction?
Yeah. So I don't think it was really going in the wrong direction, but I think and this is a common thing. You prepare a lot for your MVP, you launch it, and then you realize you're missing a ton still, right? I didn't realize how much I was missing until I started working with those customers whose use case I never seen before, and it's literally every other person joining the product. Um, so for years, I would take in a bunch of feedback about use cases that I've never thought about because I don't run a gym or never seen that specific configuration of a gym, and roll it back into the product until it became second nature. So something that I didn't really do in previous tasks, which was product management, I learned to do with this company. How to take in user feedback, how to distill it, how to get the actual intent behind it. Because customers, they say a lot of things and it's almost never what they actually need. They come to you with preconceptions from other products. Oh, I want it to work like this other product that I use. And you look at it and it's like a terrible product that you would never want in your own. Or they come to you with like, oh, this is how I do it, pen and paper. There's the famous Henry Ford saying, I don't know if it's really him.
It's not
If I
it.
ask my customer, they will say they want a faster horse, right? So it's exactly like this. So you have to talk to the customers in a way that you understand what are they actually trying to achieve. And I had to learn how to do that with this company. Um, to your other point regarding customers, yeah. So I didn't really have any idea. Well, how do you acquire customers? I thought, I'll put the best copy on the website. I'll drop some links on social media and some directories, and Google will find it, and people will come and they'll give it a shot. And in reality, almost nobody found the website or the product because it's really hard to gain awareness, especially in a crowded vertical. Um, so it took me quite a while to understand what are good acquisition channels, how to effectively use those channels, how to convert the people that actually end up on the website, and how to convert them from a trial to a paying customer. Um, that process took about 4 years until I can pretty confidently say that we reached product market fit.
So let's dive into that playbook together. Maybe you can give us a short, brief summary of those 4 years from starting Gymdesk to finding those first customers to building the funnel. What did it look like in the day to day?
Yeah. So the very first customers are people that I knew from places that I trained at. Some of those were my friends, and they always complained about some of the other competitors in the vertical. So they were ready to try it out, but that's really 5, 10 people at the beginning.
So the
Um,
pain points were very, very clear to you. You knew that they would pay if you were to build something like that.
that's what they told me. Sometimes you can't really trust what people say before they actually pull out their credit card, but some of them did, and then some other people that I didn't know personally joined and also started using it. Small numbers, we would get, I don't know, 5, 6 leads a month. Um, and maybe one or two of those would convert to a paying customers. This is how the first year was. Just very, very slow, grindy, not much movement. But despite that, even that small amount was giving me enough fuel with regards to feedback to continue to improve the product. So there was value in that. Um, I initially the channel that I focused on the most that I thought I understood was content marketing. I didn't really understand it. There were definitely different methods back then to doing content marketing. You do a lot of guest posting, you do outreach for link building, and those methods were dying out even back then. And of course, I had no experience doing it previously, so I wasn't doing it really well. It seemed like a wasted effort. Like half a year in, basically nothing to show for a bunch of guest posts that I wrote all over the place for different publications and a couple of inbound links. Nothing really came out of it. But I continued to create content on our website. Um, I started investing a little bit in paid acquisition. So I tried Google Ads and Facebook Ads. None of those really worked for us. It actually seems like a common theme that most bootstrap businesses struggle with those channels. You need big budgets and you need a longer buyback period to make it work. But more niche websites, software comparison websites like G2, Capterra, we found some success and we were driving still a small amount of leads, but for us at the time, 10, 15, 20 leads a month for a very small budget of, let's say, $250 a month. That was giving us fuel to continue going. So those were the two semi-successful marketing channels at the beginning, and over time we started to figure out content marketing, and we added some additional supporting channels such as partnerships, integrations, um, and so on.
Okay. So after you figured out that the initial content marketing wasn't working very well, what steps did you take to start to discover that oil where it's like, eureka, we're doing this right. We're creating the right blog posts. We're doing the right guest posts. How did
Yeah.
you approach that?
To be honest, that took quite a while. So right up to achieving product market fit, I haven't really figured out marketing with regards to content marketing. We got the language better on the website. Um, we did a couple of redesigns. We continued to increase the appeal of the product from a marketing standpoint, also with the additional features that we were adding. But it was really difficult to increase traffic in a significant way. Traffic was slowly increasing just from natural of us being in the market for a while, and there's a little bit of word to mouth going on. Um, but it's only near the end of 2020 um, that I decided to hire one of our contract writers. I say one. At the time, it was the only contract writer we were working with. Somebody who also trains, has some SEO experience, and I decided, okay, I want to invest in this channel. The revenue got to the point where I felt comfortable enough to bring on a full time employee, and my first full time employee at the company was our content marketing manager, who still to this day runs the content marketing. And together, we started to build out our, first of all, becoming more consistent with releasing content, and also to figure out what actually works and how to move the needle there.
So you did this without an SEO expert? You did it all by yourself?
I tried using SEO agencies a couple times. Um, and also afterwards, by the way, we engaged with one of the better known SaaS content marketing agencies. At the end of the day, I feel like the value they bring is limited. Only if you really have no idea what you're doing, they can come in and give you a little bit of a starting point. Most SEO agencies are really just focused on the technical aspects of SEO. And that aspect, I feel like we had down pat. The technical aspects, I never had any issues. That's my background. Um, they don't really do much with the content, most SEO agencies. The content marketing agencies, they help with the content. But again, they're not from your industry. They don't have domain knowledge. A lot of the playbooks they give you are very generic and multi-purpose, which works to an extent. It did teach us a little bit about what an organized process looked like, but yeah, we didn't feel like they were getting what we were supposed to be doing there. So we took the process from them. We said, "Thank you for getting us this far," and we continued to explore it on our own. Um, there was definitely a turning point for us when we engaged with this algorithmic SEO agency. I say agency, but it's this one guy that does a ton of experimentation with trying to understand how the Google language model works. How does it look at a page? Why does it prefer certain sections from a page to put in the snippets or to pull up in the search results? Um, he would create millions of pages programmatically with different permutations to see which ones Google like and which ones can actually rank without backlinks. That was one of the key things we learned from him: how to rank pages without getting any backlinks. Um, and this is really where we started putting together a cohesive SEO plan, content marketing and SEO plan, um, which nowadays generates about 150, 160 leads a month.
Oh, that's insane. So basically, he helped you figure out what the format of the content should be through the programmatic method.
It's it's more. You can think of it as format. It's more of tools to use when you generate the content, right? Um, so the way to approach it, I don't know how technical we want to dive into this, but let me give you kind of in 2 minutes the way that we think about content now at the company, right? So there's three main buckets of content that we produce for. The first one is conversion content, bottom of the funnel. This is what most companies focus on most of the time, and it's very important. But it also usually has the lowest volume of traffic, right? High intent keywords, and also the most competitive keywords, right? All the companies are trying to rank there. Um, so definitely we create for that. That's the most obvious topics that directly relate to the product, where we can integrate the product, maybe link directly to a landing page, or maybe the landing page is what we want to rank for those keywords. Then we have the awareness bucket. So a step above,
I-
those are,
If I can stop you for a second,
yeah,
would you mind? I don't know how, private this needs to be, but if you could provide some examples of keywords for each bucket. But you could use
yeah.
generic keywords also for a different business if you don't want to go into gym
No, no.
desk.
Let's use Gymdesk for example. So for us, um, martial arts management software is a very high intent keyword. Somebody is right now looking for a solution like ours to use for their. There's no other reason to search for this, unless maybe you're a competitor doing some market research, right? Um, so we have a bunch of those keywords: um, gym billing software, um, gymnastics attendance software, all sorts of permutations like that. That's our conversion keywords, and we have dedicated landing pages for basically each one of those. We also have dedicated landing pages for features, so not just gym type, but like I said, attendance, billing, etc. Then for the awareness bucket, this is where we talk about topics that relate to the day-to-day of our target audience. And there's probably a way to connect it at the end to something the product does. So let's say we're writing.
Sorry to cut you off, Eran. So just to go back a step, you say that for the high intent keywords, you create landing pages rather than blog posts?
In general, yes, because the idea there, ideally, you want those landing pages to rank and convert, right? Those are high intent. You don't want to write a blog post with a weak conversion intent at the end, but we do write supporting blog posts on the same keywords um, that interlink back to the landing pages. The interlinking is also a very important part of it.
Interesting.
Um, yeah. So going back to the awareness, that would be, let's say we're talking about accounting for gyms. So we talk about the importance of doing accounting, different options for it. And then at the end, we connect it to some of the features that we have that make accounting easier at the gym, right? So it's mostly about the topic that not directly deals with the product because we're not accounting software, but we do have some bindings. So exports for accounting, integrations with accounting software, etc. The goal there is somebody who is looking for help with one of their daily tasks is definitely in our ICP. And we bring awareness to the product by having them land on our website and connect it to the product in some way during the article. And then,
If
yeah, go
I
ahead.
can challenge you, just because I would love to make this super tactical for other founders. You may not be comfortable with it, but would you mind sharing your screen and showing us actual pages? Would
Oh,
you be
yeah,
up
for
for
sure.
that? I think people would love to see, to really get their hands dirty and so people can learn from this and do it on their own.
For sure. Perfect. All right. Let me know if you can see my screen. So this is our blog. We call it the Gymdesk Library. It's a collection of articles, mostly dealing around topics that are about managing a gym in some way, running classes, doing the admin, all of those things. Um, so again, I don't run content directly anymore at the company. We have a team of writers. We have our content marketing manager that manages it. But in general, we generate content for the different vertical types that we solve the business management for. And out each one of those, let's say we're going into the martial arts category, we talk about a variety of topics that fall in the three buckets. I haven't gotten yet to the third bucket. But for example, what classes and services should I offer at my martial arts school, right? So this article talks about um, how to set up memberships at a martial arts school, right? What kind of services, what kind of offerings should you put out there? And by the way, we also try to push people to sign up for the newsletter to get more of that content because a lot of times they're not yet ready to look for the actual software. And then we connect it to our membership management feature if they're interested in learning more about that and see if we can help them with actually implementing what we talk about here in the article, right? So that's an example of such an article. If we talk about the landing pages, so I'm going to one of our solutions landing pages. Again, this is a landing page that is targeting gym management software. The URL says software gyms. The H1 says gym management software, the title as well. And then we have different sections of the page that are targeted towards specific things that Google is looking for. For example, Google is looking to answer a question: what is gym management software? Right? I mentioned earlier the guy that does algorithmic SEO. This is part of what he taught us. We really need to answer the questions that Google puts out in the people also ask section of a specific query in the search results. And you have to define it in a very fact-based way, and also keep it brief. You don't want it to be too long. It needs to be quotable by Google, right? And there's a bunch of other technical elements here that kind of follow the same model. Um, so this is a conversion-oriented content. This is what I mentioned earlier. And the last one that I'm just getting into now, um, let's see if actually there's a better way to show this to you. If I go to Google now and I search for martial arts, a very broad keyword that not necessarily obviously is not directly connected to the product, right? Somebody just searching for this is not looking for gym management software, but right here on the fourth result, we were actually first on Google for this for a while. There's an article that we wrote, 16 different types of martial arts styles. This has nothing to do with the product, but it does have something to do with the vertical that we want topical authority on. So this is the third bucket. Topical authority is how we establish ourselves as an authority on a specific content niche, right? If Google thinks that we have high relevance for martial arts, then when somebody searches for martial arts management software, we already approach it from a much better position if we were a complete unknown in the martial arts content niche, right? This is another thing that the algorithmic SEO person taught us, how to think about it in content kind of circles, and the cross section between those is what you want to aim for. So this article, it just defines 16 different types of martial arts in a way that appeals to what Google is looking for to answer those questions. This kind of content, again, is not aiming for conversions or even awareness. It does two different things for us. First of all, increases our topical authority for specific keywords. So for us, martial arts is such a keyword, gym, fitness, gymnastics, yoga, etc. Those are keywords that we want to be considered an authority in Google. And the second thing, it builds backlinks organically. So this article got over 200 backlinks completely organically. We didn't generate any backlinks to it. We didn't buy any backlinks. We didn't send out any outreach. Organically generated over 200 backlinks, and that increases the overall domain authority that Gymdesk has. So that's my spiel. In a couple of minutes, how we approach content on a more strategic level. And then there's different tactical things that we do on a weekly basis to complement that.
Got it. So if we look, first of all, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing. If we look at the overview level and I'm like, hey, I have my three buckets. I have the awareness, I have the authority, and I also have the conversion. And I see, I go into SEMrush or any Hrefs or any of those tools. I want to attack those keywords. Does it work in the matter of like, I'm going to chip away at it slowly? Like I know I have to write one article a week to reach this within X time, and you can make it really, really scientific. Like what does the process look like? How do you know you're going to reach your goals?
So this process really varies depending on the stage that you're in, right? If you're just starting out and you have no content, you want to start focusing on only conversion oriented content initially, right? Cover all your bases and try to get to Google to notice. Google will notice. You might be in position 60, 70, but that's still something, Once Google puts you there, it means it thinks it has some relevance. And I'm going to transition this into some of the technical things that we do. Once you have this in place, you can go to the Google Search Console and look for places that Google is ranking you on some level, but it's very, very low, right? I look for places in position 40, 50, 60. And then I take a look at the specific keyword, because a lot of times it's permutations of keywords that you never thought about. You might have some idea in your head what people might be searching for. People have completely different opinions than you about how to search for things. So you take a look and it's like, oh, this keyword looks relevant to us. We're in position 70. We haven't actually written about this topic directly. It's kind of adjacent to some of the stuff that we've written, but we can definitely either add a mention for this specific keyword, like add a paragraph about it, or create a completely new article for it. And that way we start filling in the gaps, right? Once we're done with the conversion stuff, moving into the awareness stuff is relatively easy for most businesses, because ideally they should know what their ICP is doing on a day-to-day basis that might be related to their product. Let's say you're working on a project management software. So any activity related to project management is a good topic to write about. And well, with the authoritative content, it's easier for vertical businesses to work on, right? For us, it's very easy to know we serve several niches, martial arts, gyms, yoga studios, and focus on those keywords. For horizontal businesses, it's more difficult because they might be appealing to any kind of business. Then they have to focus more on the ICP itself and the role instead of the vertical in general. So if you're an HR software and you're writing for HR people, you need keywords that those people in general interact with, right? Um, that's why I believe that vertical businesses have it easier than horizontal businesses. They also have more focus in every aspect, not just marketing, but specifically here with content marketing, it's much easier to focus when you have a specific vertical you're going after.
Makes sense. So if I'm a founder starting out, bootstrap, who do you think should do SEO and who should not do SEO? And is there any expectation you think they can have if they're considering different marketing channels? Like, listen, man, I'm a bootstrap. I don't have a ton of money in the bank. Eran, you're my only hope. Do I go on SEO or do I not go on SEO? And when can I expect leads? What would you tell?
Yeah. So good question. It really depends on your ACV, your annual contract value. Um, for smaller ACVs, you would typically be building a product that is mostly self-service, kind of like what we did. Um, you know, plans that go up to 100, 150, still in the self-serve category. Um, and for that, SEO is the best tool. You don't want to put people on a sales call for a $50 a month plan. It just doesn't make any sense financially, right? So you want them to find the website organically. You want them to sign up themselves, onboard themselves, ideally, maybe with some assistance. And for those businesses, SEO is the best fit. For businesses that sell enterprise software with contracts that take months to negotiate, and it's I don't know, uh, at, at least 5K a month ticket. I don't think SEO is the best channel, especially to start with. You might be able to integrate it later once you have resources to invest in less attractive acquisition channels. But most decision makers at big enterprise companies are not going to find you through SEO. It's just not very like unless you can really dominate an industry. If you can dominate the SEO completely, then yes, that's great. But um, if you are going into a competitive market, that's probably not going to happen. So I would not focus on SEO for high ACV products.
Okay, I think that's a great summary. Well, we're coming to the end of the show. I would definitely love to do another one. I think there are lots of topics we can dive into and also to learn more about SEO. Um, are there any last things you would like to tell founders and bootstrappers out there that they should know regarding SEO or just how to build a successful business?
So I think for bootstraps, the main benefit of bootstrapping a business is that you can keep going as long as you don't give up. When you raise a VC round, you start spending beyond your company's ability to generate revenue. So unless you catch up with the revenue generation, which is unlikely, you're pretty dependent on raising another round to keep going. So you have a limited amount of time to both find product market fit and also to figure out your acquisition process. But Bootstrap, as long as you keep going, uh, you can keep trying new things, right? So the message is don't give up. As long as you're seeing some kind of upwards trajectory, even if it's very small, just keep going. Things will eventually become clearer. The second thing is to try and learn from your mistakes or your past experiments. Don't just keep doing the same thing and expect different results. It's like if you put yourself on a schedule, "Oh, I'm going to release one blog post a week," and just keep doing that for years without changing anything about the way you approach it, nothing is going to change, right? You need to start understanding, okay, what worked for me in the past? How can I replicate that success? Um, and if you're not sure, you can start talking to other people who might understand it better. Um, but you need to do something in order to generate different results.
Are there any resources you would recommend founders dive into to learn more about SEO or just bootstrap approach?
Um, so I've recently found that LinkedIn is actually a pretty good source of new SEO advice. Some of the tactical stuff that we do on a regular basis, I literally saw it in a LinkedIn post. So there's definitely a lot of people there that know what they're doing and they're willing to share in order to build their brand. I think the main problem is there's also a lot of people who don't really know what they're doing, or they knew what they were doing 5 years ago and it's no longer relevant. They're still pushing the same approaches. So you're going to have to take your lumps and figure it out for yourself. But definitely follow. I believe his name is Russ Hodgins from Siege Media. He has a ton of great content. This is also the guy that runs SEO Jobs. I forgot his name, but he's also on LinkedIn generating a bunch of good SEO content. That's a good place to start, and then see the people that they follow and comment, and expand from there.
Eran, this has been amazing. It's been super insightful. How can people reach out?
Yeah, so I have my website, erangalperin.com. Also, if you Google my name, you'll find it pretty easily. I'm also on Twitter and LinkedIn. If you're an early stage B2B SaaS founder with some customers, but no real idea how to get it to the next level, reach out. I would love to speak with you and see if I can help.
Thanks so much, Eran. It's been a pleasure.
You as well, Daniel. Thanks for inviting.